Hey guys, Heather with BTS Nutrition here, and I wanted to come at you with some thoughts and just basically informational tidbits that we weren't really sure we had enough to like make a bunch of separate videos on. They'd all be like a minute long. So me and Lauren, one of our dietitians, kind of compiled them into a kind of catch-all video that we've got for you right here. So we're basically going to give you some basic tips for building muscle, which we call gaining mass or bulking. Some basic tips for fat loss, or what we refer to as cutting a lot of times. Some hydration tips, and then just some nutrient timing tips. So let's get started. Also, this really awesome side ponytail, I'm channeling my sister-in-law, Chelsea. I was in the middle of a workout today, and my ponytail holder snapped and my hair was like everywhere. So I ran over and grabbed a rubber band from the desk and threw it into this. So yeah, I'm not totally 80s, but I guess I'm channeling that for this video. Also, there's a balloon floating in the background I just noticed, so whoops. Okay, so let's start with muscle building. So for most people, you should be aware that there's 3 types of calorie areas to eat in. You're either eating in a hyper caloric state, which means you're eating more than you consume in a day or burn in a day. So you're eating over your total daily energy expenditure. There's isocaloric intake, which is when you're in maintenance. You're just taking in exactly what you burn. And then there's hypocaloric intake, which is when you're eating less than what you burn in hopes to lose weight. So we're going to focus real quick on why you would eat in a hyper state, and that would be to build some muscle. One thing about building muscle that a lot of people don't realize is in order to put on muscle, you have to put on a little bit of fat. The goal of working with BTS is to make sure that the amount of fat you put on is very small in comparison to the amount of lean mass you put on. And then we usually cycle through, if we do a bulk with you, then we usually cycle it and follow it with a cut to help you drop off the extra fat you might have gained, but maintain the lean muscle. And it sounds cool, but it's actually really tricky to put on lean mass. It's way harder to gain muscle than it is to lose fat. And so that's why we're so, I don't want to say strict, but we're so adamant here at BTS that you want to make sure you're eating enough so that you don't lose that lean mass even when you're on a cut, because it's a lot harder to get that back. I know from personal experience from doing cuts the wrong way before I got certified that can happen. Okay, so say you want to build some lean mass. Here's some basic tips that could help you. You want to increase the frequency of your meals and snacks. You want to make sure you're eating more energy-dense snacks and drinks to increase your energy intake. You got to keep that energy up because we're assuming when you're bulking that you're going to be doing some different types of working out. So people say, am I going to get bulky if I eat a lot of protein? It's a lot more that goes into it than that, and why nutrition is a key component to help you gain lean mass. The working out part is actually really important for the building lean mass, and you have to work out a certain type of way to build lean mass, which is why you'll see bodybuilders or people doing like body composition shows. They're not doing usually high intensity interval exercises. They are focused on more steady state cardio and hypertrophy type volume exercises. So, that is a whole side note though. Some other tips for this would be that you want to make sure you're eating quality carbohydrates before and after training sessions to fuel the sessions for all optimal training intensity and to prevent muscle breakdown. You want to plan ahead so that you avoid missing your meals or your snacks. And when we do that, when we don't plan ahead, I know at least I always resort to like some quick junk food on the side. Maybe I'll be at Publix and I let the day get away from me with my toddlers and I'm starving and I buy a Snickers bar or something like that. So we want to try to avoid that. And usually a good guideline for the protein for someone who's trying to build lean mass is 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So slightly elevated from what the normal population would consume at just 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So those are just some tips and tricks, some things to keep in mind if you're interested in building lean mass. All right, so for fat loss, or what we call cutting, you want to be really wary of fad diets that eliminate whole food groups. Successful weight loss and maintenance is something that's going to be long-term and something that you can do consistently. So that's one of our mottos here. Realism, not restriction. As soon as you cut out whole food groups and entire like genres of the food world, if that's what you want to call it. I know we're not talking about literature, but that's how I think of it. Then it's not realistic, and eventually you're going to have to add those things back in. And so we want to create a realistic plan that doesn't isolate you. Plus, socially, it's really hard to cut out an entire food group and still have a social life. And we want you to have a social life. Fuel and recover appropriately around training sessions to avoid impacting the quality or your adaptations of sessions. So what does that mean? It means that when you're on a cut, training can be difficult. You're eating less carbs usually, and if you're hitting your runs or your weightlifting or your crossfitting or your Orange Theory classes, if you're hitting them hard, you might find that you hit a wall and you're unable to just push past that wall like you used to because you're out of carbs, you're out of glycogen. So it's really important on a cut to take the carbs that you're given and really center them pre, during, and post workout to make the most out of those workouts so you don't hit those walls and tank. So, and we at BTS Nutrition can help you do that. You want to make sure you use filling but low calorie foods, salad, berries, soups, to make sure that you really get the most out of your meals. You're kind of bulking your meals up. You want to include proteins at every meal, no more than 30 grams though, because your body can't digest more than 30 grams at a time and then it gets stored as fat. So include protein at meals and snacks to help curb your appetite and reduce muscle loss, because on a cut, just like on a bulk, when you gain lean mass, you gain a little bit of fat. When you lose fat, a lot of times your lean mass is going to go down too, but we work really hard at BTS Nutrition to offset that and to make sure that you're losing the fat and not your hard-earned lean mass. You want to limit your high-calorie foods like soft drinks, chocolate desserts, takeout, alcohol, and so on. And it's not because we think those things are bad or you're just going to, never make any progress if you splurge and have them sometimes. It's because on a lower calorie diet, you want to make sure you're getting the nutrient-dense, satisfying foods that in the calories that you're allotted versus you spend 300 calories on some chocolate. That didn't really fill you up, nor did it provide you with many nutrients. And now you're down 300 calories and hungry the rest of the day. Be aware of non-hungry eating. This is what I struggle with sometimes on the weekend. I'm home with my boys, we're playing, and I just, I'm not as busy and I just eat sometimes. We all do that. Bored eating, procrastination. So just be aware that if you're actually eating, that you're hungry. And I tell people a lot of times on a cut, if you say you're starving and you're not, it's not time for you to eat yet, try drinking 8 to 12 ounces of water. Just chug it down and see if that makes you full. Because a lot of times we're not really hungry, we're bored. And be careful to not drink your calories and alcohol, because that can really affect you, not just in terms of weight loss, but in performance as well, in whatever workout you're choosing to do. And then finally, be patient and persistent when you're on a cut. Results don't happen overnight. And I'm smiling as I say that because anytime I'm on a cut, anybody who's had to be my accountability partner can attest that I'm one of the whiniest people when I'm on a cut. It's just funny. So for any of you who are on a cut right now, I can relate to you. And I know sometimes it can be hard, but you be patient and you're going to reach those goals. You're going to knock them out of the water. All right, so hydration. If you are thirsty, then you're already dehydrated. So we want to make sure that we don't get to the point where we're thirsty. You want to consume about 125 to 150% of your estimated fluid loss over 4 to 6 hours. So what I mean by this is you may, like a day that you don't work out, whether it be running, walking, whatever it is you're doing, a day that you don't work out, you may not need as much water as a day you do work out. For instance, also, if you're working out in the winter and you're not sweating quite as much, you may need more or less fluid in the winter than you do if you're working out and it's 90 degrees outside and you go for a run and you just lose a lot of sweat. A lot of times you can weigh yourself after a workout, and you want to make sure you drink 12 to 16 ounces per pound of weight loss, because any weight you lose in a workout is pure fluid, and you want to get that back into you. You want to include sodium in your recovery fluids to replace electrolytes. So these are things like the Kill Cliff Endure sports drinks, the Gatorade, Powerades. And we really recommend these for people who, especially runners who are running for longer than an hour. It's really important to get that sodium and those electrolytes as well as those carbs during your workout. So that brings me to my next thing. Adding carbs during long periods of aerobic activity can really help sustain you and replenish those glycogen stores. And I have personally found that works really well for lifting too. If you are going to be lifting for over an hour or even up to an hour and you have some carbs during your lifting session in the form of a drink, it really can help you sustain the amount of workload you're doing even longer. Okay, so on to nutrition timing. So this can be different for every person in every sport. So these are just some general guidelines that you can try to work into whatever program you're doing. But the coaches at BTS Nutrition, we can help you personalize a plan for you and your actual sports goals. So some general guidelines for nutrient timing. 1 hour prior to exercise, I want you to consume a lot of carbs. Whole grains, fruits, things like that. We usually recommend, again, it depends on your height and your weight, but anywhere between 30 and 80 grams of carbs, different also whether you're male or female matters as well. The body is most effective at replacing carbs and promoting muscle repair and growth in the first hour post-workout. So right after your workout, you want 20 to 30 grams of protein, but you also need carbs, high glycemic carbs. And I've explained this in one of my other videos. A lot of people think that protein is how you gain lean mass, but it's not true. It's carbohydrates. They're the key. If you consume a high glycemic carb right after working out, that allows your body to take the protein that you also ingest and use it for muscle repair and growth. If you don't add the carb, your body will take that protein and it will use it for energy. And protein's not very good at being energy. And so you won't have as good of a recovery post-workout. So you want to have about 20 grams of protein, and it's a 4-to-1 ratio. So for some women, that's 2 tablespoons of, sometimes we say dextrose or a banana, any high glycemic carb. For some women, that's 3 tablespoons. For some men, that can be up to 4, 5, 6. It's a 4-to-1 ratio though, so it really depends on your height, weight, and the length of your activity. You want to try to pair protein, like we said, with all snacks and meals because it not only helps with your appetite, but it slows the release of the sugar-controlling insulin that's in your other foods. You want no more than 30 grams of protein per meal or snack because your body can't handle digesting more than that, and it will turn the excess protein to fat, which we don't want. Starchy, low-fiber foods are good prior to exercise. You want to try to eat every 3 to 4 hours. There's lots of studies that show this is effective for your metabolism as well as for your workouts. Overeating leads to an excess of insulin production, so you really want to watch that. But at the same time, with overeating, that's what you hear a lot about. People go too far the other direction. And if you're undereating, which we consider for most women could be anywhere between 1,400 to 1,200 calories, and for men, anywhere between 1,900 and 1,700 calorie diets, that will really inhibit your ability to gain lean mass. And a lot of the weight you'll be losing will actually be muscle and not fat. Your body will actually store fat as it thinks that it's not getting enough fuel to go about its daily activities. So while overeating is definitely a danger in our society, undereating is actually a huge thing that we see with our clients. I would say about 80% of our clients undereat. And then I actually just read a study from the National Academy of Sports Medicine that 65% of female professional athletes are currently undereating as they attempt to hold on to like an idea in their mind of what leanness should be versus fueling their body for the activities they're doing. And so really you want to think of food as fuel and not as fat. And we think of it the wrong way. All right, so I just wanted to give you guys some tidbits and kind of a catch-all video here. We've got some more videos coming out in the next couple weeks. We got one on supplements coming your way and on the different fad diets and what they all are and why we recommend a balanced nutrition versus more of the fad type diet. So check out those in the weeks to come, and we hope you're having a great day. Bye.